I'm Ronald Moore, the University Marshal. In my regular job, I'm a professor of philosophy. But as University Marshal, I have the honor and privilege of offering you our first words of official greeting. 4 years from now, I'll have the equally pleasing opportunity to give you our last official words when I declare that the 138th commencement exercises of the University of Washington are now closed. There's a gratifying symmetry in this hail and farewell, a symmetry that's reflected as well in the 4 Ionic columns that you see before you. These are replicas of the original columns that graced the facade of the university's first building, which was opened in 1861 on a rise in downtown Seattle, a piece of property still owned by the university, but now occupied by the Four Seasons Fairmont Hotel. And these same columns will be prominently displayed on the commencement stage in Husky Stadium when you march up to them to graduate. If you look around you at the mezzanine level, you'll see banners identifying each of the university's schools and colleges arranged in historical order, beginning with the College of Arts and Sciences and ending with the School of Public Health. Come graduation day, some of you will be carrying these banners, and the rest of you will be parading behind them according to your school or college. The columns and the banners are cherished parts of our University of Washington traditions. And as you join in the life of this university, you become part of our traditions. Our experience of the cycles of beginning and development and ending becomes your experience. But it's important to remember that it is not just this university's life and traditions that you are joining. Instead, you are entering into the life and traditions of an ancient and continuous body of learning that connects us to the earliest universities in Europe, and indeed ultimately to Plato's Academy in the 4th century BC. Little plug for philosophy there. These connections are symbolized in the medieval caps and gowns that we wear on these occasions, and of course by the special ritual object that the University Marshal carries in our ceremonies, the mace. The mace is an ancient symbol of authority that reminds us that universities are custodians both of the enduring traditions of learning and of the power that they bestow on those who come to learn. The University of Washington mace is embellished with finely wrought metal sculptures of the university seal and of Denny Hall, and topped by a graceful rendition of Drumheller Fountain. There's a picture of it on your commencement program. The mace and all these other festival ritual ingredients are simply symbolic reminders of the university's special way of uniting where we are now with what has brought us here, so that we can get a good fix on where we are going. And it is great that we're going there together. This brings me to the nature of this event itself. It is an important function of ritual occasions such as this one to punctuate the inevitable flow of experience, to pause and reflect on where we are now, what has gone before, and where we are going. John Dewey, a great 20th century American philosopher, pointed out that value most readily accrues to experience when we articulate it into episodes with beginnings, middles, and ends, and then take time to think about what these episodes mean. It's all too easy in our busy, modern world to be thinking about breakfast while we're having a shower, then thinking about a history assignment while we're gulping down breakfast, and then thinking about plans for a lunch date when we're sitting in our history class. Dewey's message was, stop, enjoy the shower with its beginning and its middle and its end. And when it's over, say to yourself, now that was a shower. And likewise with breakfast, and with the history class, and with all the other events of the day. At the University of Washington, we regard festive ritual ceremonies like this one as occasions to stop and reflect. In beginning your studies here, you're ending one stage of your life. Think about it. And you're starting another. Think about that. In a few years, At commencement, you'll look back at the whole of your undergraduate life here and reflect with pride and pleasure on what it all meant. Now, a convocation is, as those of you who recall your high school Latin may remember, a calling together. Today, we call together our incoming students, their families and friends, so that we may celebrate with you the beginning of university education and welcome you all to membership in our campus community. By calling all of us, students, faculty, families, and friends together in this place, we're underscoring a point of cooperation and mutual commitment. You, students, and your parents and relatives are now members of the University of Washington family. Like families everywhere, we'll be sharing our concerns, our affections, our aspirations, and our devotion to the project of creating a better future. We sincerely hope that these newly forged family connections will be lifelong bonds of friendship and allegiance. And we hope that you will always feel as proud and happy about us as we already feel about this outstanding incoming class. Now I want to introduce the man who will preside over our ceremony today, Dr. Mark Emmert, who was an undergraduate like you at this school just a few years ago, and now is the president of the University of Washington.
Good morning, and welcome to the 2009 Freshman Convocation. As Marshall Moore pointed out, this day marks a marvelous transition point for all of us that are here. For the faculty and staff of the university, it's the beginning of yet another chapter in the history of the university. For the parents that are here, it's a fundamental change in your lifestyles as you see one youngster go off to school and maybe have an empty nest at home, maybe not. But in any event, your home will be quieter when you return to it today. And for the students, it's the beginning of what will be probably the most transformative moments in your entire lives. And for that, we like to pause, as Marshall Moore said, and reflect on those transitions, on what's going on in your life at this particular moment. We know that from our vantage point, a bit of a handoff is going on right now. Parents and family and friends are passing on to us the responsibility of educating, supporting, and nurturing people that they love deeply and care about. People who they have watched grow and develop and who have reached a point in their lives that's produced enormous pride. And for the students, you need to know that those people that are here with you today, those family and friends, they're not really just here so they can go home and take over your bedroom. They're here because they love you, because they care for you, because they are excited about this moment in their lives. To the parents and family and friends that are here, please know this. We take our responsibility very, very seriously when it comes to the education, the support, the nurturing, the safety, the development of these students. It is what we do, it is why we are here, it is what we are focused on every day of our life. We promise you that we will do everything in our power to make these students' experience a truly remarkable one. Now, as you also heard, you'll gather again in 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years, and we'll have a commencement exercise. No, 4. In 4 years, we'll have a commencement exercise. But in between then, a great deal will happen. There will be extraordinary experiences that have life-changing impact on each and every one of you. I know that from my own experience because it happened to me. And this university community is utterly committed to making sure that you are able to take full advantage of that extraordinary experience that's in front of you. You're all excellent students, incredibly capable people, or frankly, you wouldn't be here. We also consider it our responsibility and our purpose to make sure that you can take full advantage of those remarkable talents that you bring here today. We know what you're capable of. We know your background, your skills, your abilities. We want to make sure that when you leave, those abilities have flourished and developed into things that, frankly, right now you can only imagine. We fully expect that when you leave this university, you will leave it a fundamentally changed person. You will understand the world in very different ways. You will understand your role in that world in very different ways. And you will have completely different aspirations than the ones that you have right now. You will have in front of you opportunities to study abroad, to conduct research, to join organizations, to engage in mentorships and fellowships, to do things that you've never even thought you were capable of doing or, frankly, didn't even know existed as opportunities in your life. We want you to explore and experience each and every one of those challenges. And it will be challenging. We have no confusion about the fact that we fully intend to challenge you. You will have to work hard. You will have to press yourself and do things differently, work harder, have more discipline than you've ever had in your life. But at the same time, it will be remarkably rewarding and fun and engaging, and I encourage you to grasp each and every one of those components of the experience. And when you graduate from this wonderful university, you'll also come to realize something about today, this very day, and that is that you weren't beginning a four-year experience. You were engaging in a lifelong experience, because as you join this community, the University of Washington community, you become part of a lifetime membership of a community of people that spread not just across the state of Washington or even the United States, but indeed around the world. And you'll be recognized for someone who has, in fact, accomplished something extraordinary in becoming a member of this marvelous academic community. We are very, very proud to have you here. We are very excited to have you as members of our community. So on behalf of the entire University of Washington community, welcome to the University of Washington family, my fellow Huskies. Congratulations on joining us. And now I'd like to introduce members of our stage party today. The ultimate responsibility for the University of Washington lies with the members of the Board of Regents, 10 citizens of the state who are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the state senate. These dedicated men and women devote countless hours each year to the welfare of our university. 5 members of the Board of Regents are able to be with us today, and I'd like to introduce them at this time. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. First, Chairman of the Board, Regent Herb Simon. Regent Christiane Blake. Regent William Gates. Regent Sally Jewell, and your fellow student regent, Ben Golden. Ladies and gentlemen, the regents of the University of Washington. Also seated with us on this platform is the provost of the university, Phyllis Wise, whom you will meet in just a moment, and the deans of the university's 17 schools and colleges, the senior administrative leadership of the university, faculty members, and representatives from the student body, faculty senate, the alumni association, and others. Will all of you please stand and allow us to thank you for being with us. And lastly, I'd like to ask you to please join me in thanking Professor Timothy Saltzman and your fellow students of this fabulous wind ensemble. They haven't had a lot of time to practice since school hasn't started. Please join me in thanking our wonderful wind ensemble and Professor Saltzman. Now I'd like to introduce your student body president, a biochemistry major who just entered his senior year as the new president of the Associated Students of the University of Washington, Mr. Tim Mensing. Tim?
First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. This wasn't mandatory, even if that's what your parents told you. And that's okay. Soon enough, you won't have to listen to them so much, but you should. Friends and family will carry you through the good times and bad, so don't lose sight of home. And it's perfectly natural to feel homesick too. I know I did. I missed my friends and family more than I thought I could. But then I found a new home here, quite simply by getting involved. The best advice I have for getting used to this new place is finding what you like and doing it, be it through your resident hall student association, Greek life, clubs, etc. Getting involved will provide friends, and from there, family. It also helps more than little in providing purpose and experience and developing skills so crucial in whatever major and subsequent career you choose. As students, your predecessors have done amazing things in the world and on campus. Your student government, the ASUW, founded both the UW bookstore and Husky Union building, the Hub. 4 years ago, the ASUW Senate passed resolutions honoring our UW alumni who received the Medal of Honor. And on November 11th, the fruits of their labor will be unveiled with the Medal of Honor Memorial located on campus, honoring our alumni's heroism and sacrifice. Your student activism led to radically increased equity on this campus with the creation of the Ethnic Cultural Center, Women's Center, and Q Center. The Greek system raises hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for such causes as multiple sclerosis and cancer research. Students living in the resident halls get to participate in great programs put on by RHSA, such as the Hansi Haunted House and Winterfest. Commuter students can join the Off-Campus Student Association, which is one of over 700 diverse clubs every single one of you can join. All these organizations provide countless leadership opportunities, community, and amazing intangibles. Your student government, the ASUW, serves to represent and collaborate with all these organizations. We are your voice. And we've been hard at work in designing programming and volunteer opportunities dedicated to matching your passions with relevant activities. The most rewarding college experiences consist of diligent learning both inside and out of the classroom. So experience this university and city to the fullest. See a laser show at the Pacific Science Center. Choose from just about every kind of cuisine on the app. Pho is delicious. And don't worry about what other people think. That's for high school. This is UW. Be yourself. There is no better person to do it. But do it with understanding, drive, the ability to see another's perspective. And by simply looking around, you'll know that you are not alone. Furthermore, there are faculty, staff, and advisors here to help and guide you along the way. This is your life. Make it what you want it to be. Define yourself. And know that if you sit back and do nothing, nothing is going to happen. So work your heart out, but don't lose it in the process. And when you look at the stars at night, know that's where your dreams should lie. So here's to new experiences, your friends, your family. Here's to the beginning of the rest of your Husky life. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. One of the things that we want to do today is to introduce you, the freshman class and entering students, to our faculty and our deans and the university community, but we also want to tell them in turn a little bit about you, the entering students. There's probably no one here at the university that knows all of you better than the Dean of our Undergraduate Academic Affairs, Dr. Ed Taylor. Dr. Taylor is a graduate of Gonzaga University and has his PhD from the University of Washington. He's been a member of our faculty of the College of Education since 1994. Please help me in welcoming Ed Taylor.
Incoming freshmen and transfer students, let me introduce you to each other. Some of you didn't have to go very far to get here. There are 97 of you from Newport High School, some of you from Rainier Beach High School. The Kent Ridge students already found each other. Go ahead and wave your hand. You're already sitting right there together. Right? Be sure to turn around and say hi to that student behind you from Shorewood. Don't mistake him from the students from Shore Crest, because there are quite a few of them here as well. From Skyline High School, we have over 82 students here. I saw one wave. The Roosevelt Rough Riders are here. There are quite a few of you here. Eastlake, 70 students from Eastlake. Bellevue High School, over 70 students. Garfield Bulldogs, I know there's one of them sitting right there. There's a hoop from a Garfield. You are now one with your brothers from Franklin. Those Franklin Quakers and Garfield Bulldogs are together. There's one student here from Republic High School, one from Mabton, one from Mossy Rock, one from Zillow, Washington. You are from Trout Lake, Soap Lake, Kent Lake, Lakeside, Bonnie Lake, Lake Park, Illinois. You're from Wapato, Kashmir, Cle Elum. You have a couple of classmates from Forks, Washington. His name's not Edward, and her name is not Bella. Resist the temptation. Don't do the let's go out for a bite tonight. Don't do it. Let's fang out. Just resist the temptation. There are several students took the I-90 bridge from Pullman, Washington, saw the light, and made their way here. Oh, you're not just from Washington. You're all from all over the state of Washington, urban, rural, tribal communities. Quite a few of you came from Southern California when it came to the last second, and you had a choice. You kicked it with the University of Washington. You bet on the Huskies. You're from Oregon, from Montana, Idaho, Georgia, New York, Arkansas, Hawaii, Alaska, and all over the United States. You are not just from the United States. You're from Bolivia, Bulgaria, China, Egypt, Kuwait, Peru, South Africa. You have a classmate who worked as a beekeeper in a honey house. You have classmates who are proud sons and daughters of Polish immigrants. You have classmates who are grandsons and granddaughters of Tuskegee Airmen. There are ROTC students in your midst who will serve our country. There are fourth and fifth generation Huskies in this room. There are some of you who will be the very first in your family to cross the threshold of a university. We welcome you all here. You are homeschooled, public schooled, private schooled. A couple of you stopped out of school and re-entered school, and you found your way here. You are a diverse and talented class. There's something you all share in common. By the time this is all done, you will have had a transformative experience here, and at the end of the day, you will always and forever be University of Washington Huskies. I would like to ask all of you, parents, friends, loved ones, and community, and my colleagues on the stage to please stand and give our freshmen and our transfer students a rousing welcome. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Dean Taylor. And now we'd like to introduce all of you to another group, and that's the members of the faculty who will be your teachers and your mentors and your colleagues over the next 4 years. They are experts in nearly every imaginable field, and every day they are engaged in research and scholarship that is quite literally changing the world in which we live. The person who knows our faculty best is our university provost, Dr. Phyllis Wise. As provost, it is Dr. Wise's responsibility to serve as the chief academic officer and the person who works most closely with the deans and the faculty to shape your academic experience. Dr. Wise, as well as being our provost, is also a professor of physiology and biophysics and obstetrics and gynecology in the School of Medicine. Please join me in welcoming our provost, Dr. Phyllis Wise. Phyllis?
On behalf of all of the faculty here at the University of Washington, I want to join the voices in welcoming you here to the university. It is an exciting and wonderful place, in part because of the wonderful faculty that you will get in touch with, who will teach you and who will learn from you, who will engage you in all of the activities of the university. I can't possibly cover all of the activities that they cover and the expertise that they have, but I just want to give you a glimpse of the kind of faculty who will teach you in and out of the classroom. About a quarter of our students get a chance to have an internship in the office or the laboratory of a faculty member while you are here. We urge even more of you to take advantage of this, because this kind of learning is even richer than the kind of classroom learning that you will get just by attending classes. For example, several undergraduates will be working in bioengineering in the lab of Dr. Paul Yeager, and he is sitting behind me. Paul, do you want to stand up? Paul and his group are developing means of bringing modern medical diagnostic techniques in developing nations. These countries often lack the facilities that are necessary to test patients for life-threatening diseases, and the kind of work that he and his group are doing are allowing these people to get the kind of medical care that they really need. You might be able to work in Paul's lab or in one of his colleagues' labs. The work is being supported by a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Grand Challenges in Global Health Initiative, and it's going to have dramatic impact on the battle against diseases that kill millions of people around the world. In the astronomy department, you'll find another group of scientists who are engaged in fascinating research. The computational astrophysics group, led by Dr. Tom Quinn, who is also on stage with us. He and his group are using some of the largest computers in the world to study formations of galaxies and the structure of the universe. Several undergraduates have worked with this group understanding how massive black holes can change the appearance of entire galaxies as seen from the Hubble Space Telescope and other NASA facilities. Our galaxy has a black hole in the middle, and this research gives us more information about the structure of the Milky Way. Since 1997, the Center for American Politics and Public Policy has offered year-long research opportunities to arts and sciences undergraduates. The center's Associate Professor of Political Science, John Wilkerson, leads this group. John? These students collaborate with faculty and graduate students on major research projects and then design and execute their own research studies and present findings at the UW Undergraduate Research Forum. Many of you who will have the opportunity to do research will be able to share your findings with other students at our symposium. There are just so many other programs that we hope that you will take advantage of. Programs at the Rome Center, programs at the Burke Museum, programs at the Friday Harbor Labs, programs at our new León Center in León, Spain, our new Beijing office in Beijing, China. There are programs all over the world led by individual faculty through classes and through internships. Please be sure to take advantage of these. The Mary Gates Endowment for Scholars is another program that has given thousands of undergraduates the opportunity to pursue their own projects with individual faculty members. This definitely will enrich your learning experience while you are here. I know that you will all work hard, and I know that you will want to know that there are exciting opportunities to learn about as you take your first steps at the University of Washington. So welcome. The faculty are looking forward to working with you, as I am.
Our speaker today is a two-time Pulitzer Prize-winning author and editorial cartoonist and columnist whose instantly recognizable work is syndicated to several hundred newspapers and whose website reportedly receives over 1 million page views a month. We're very proud to say that he is also an alumnus of the university, having received his bachelor's degree in communications here in 1976. He also holds a master's degree in international relations from the University of Kent at Canterbury in the United Kingdom. As an undergraduate, at the same time I was an undergraduate, he was an editorial cartoonist for the UW Daily, and I know that I couldn't enjoy a cup of coffee in the hub unless I was reading his editorials. He was an editorial cartoonist for the UW Daily and later became the paper's editor-in-chief. In addition to his 2 Pulitzers, Mr. Horsey received the National Press Foundation's 1998 Berryman Award for Cartoonist of the Year. The Society of Professional Journalists have given him a total of 14 first-place regional awards for cartooning, governmental reporting, and spot news reporting, as well as the 1999 Susan Hutchison Bosch Award for Outstanding Achievement in Journalism. He took first place in the 1994 Best of the West Journalism Competition, and in 1995 became the first cartoonist to win the Environmental Media Award. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming a fellow Husky, I promoted you, Mr. David Horsey.
Thank you, President Emmert, for the honorary doctorate. That was easy. Well, first of all, I want to welcome all of you here to the University of Washington family. I'm going to talk about family a little bit in my speech today. But first, to the new freshman class in particular, I want to welcome you to your college career. As you know, this is going to be 4 years of fun and freedom before you graduate and move back in with your parents. Now, you've been chosen and have chosen. You've been chosen by and have chosen this university. And you may not realize it, especially those of you like me who grew up in Seattle, grew up near the University of Washington. It was kind of the school down the street. But what is true about this university is not that it's just a fine university, but it is one of the finest in the world. Now, I don't expect you to have understood that because there are a lot of knuckleheads in the state legislature who haven't figured that out either. But since you have a lot more brains and talents than most state legislators, I think you're going to get it. Now, having just said that, it's obvious that I've made a career out of insulting legislators and making fun of congressmen and picking on presidents of the United States, and it's worked out rather well for me. As President Emmert noted, I've won 2 Pulitzer Prizes for engaging in satire. And as he also noted, for me, it all started here at the University of Washington. But the fact is, I'm just one of many who could say that. Among the graduates of the University of Washington, there are 9 other Pulitzer Prize winners, and I'm happy to say I know 5 of them. Most of them grew up around here. There are also a number of Nobel laureates, 10 astronauts, several test pilots, a long list of prominent people in science and technology. There's a long list of very stellar artists, actors, and authors, including 2 winners of the National Book Award, plus Kyle MacLachlan, the star of the movie Dune, and Frank Herbert, the author of the Dune books. They all went here. Add to that long list of prominent business leaders, add to that list many prominent business leaders, lawyers, architects, and doctors including the CEOs of Wizards of the Coast and Starbucks, one president of Ford Motor Company, one of the founders of Baskin and Robbins, it's Robbins, by the way, and most of the Nordstrom family. The UW has also produced 4 U.S. senators, 10 members of Congress, 5 governors of Washington State, several mayors, and the president of the island nation of Palau. UW grads include labor leaders, human rights activists, and a number of Medal of Honor winners. In the world of sports, the UW has given us the gold medal men's rowing team from the 1936 Olympics, plus 10 other winners of Olympic medals. And add to that a rather impressive array of NFL players and NBA players. And UW has made its mark in sports. Of course, among the alums, there are a number of university presidents, including my classmate, Mark Emmert. So far, we have not produced a president of the United States. But we have produced the presidents of the United States, the rock group. They went here. Well, that's a pretty impressive list, you have to admit. But I suspect that right now, even in the midst of this, this wonderful occasion, all these people dressed in these crazy gowns, you're maybe not preoccupied with the greatness of this university or the credentials of the alumni. Chances are your mind is wandering to more immediate concerns, such as, where the heck is Schmitz Hall? Or, why doesn't the bookstore have all the books I need for English 101? Or, do the guys in the dorm room across the hall play Halo 24 hours a day? Or, will Mom ever stop calling me 3 times a day to see if my roommate isn't picking on me? Or is your high school boyfriend who went to Oregon State going to meet some skanky new girl and forget about you? Or you might be sitting there wondering, why does the bunk at your fraternity smell like a brewery? I just want you to know that all those big achievers among the UW alumni started out where you are today and had those same kind of concerns on their minds, because coming here is kind of a big mystery. And I want to tell you something that I know is absolutely true. Sitting out there among you right now, there are young men and women who will one day join the UW Hall of Fame. Out there, there's probably a future Pulitzer Prize winner, maybe a Nobel recipient, or a movie star, or a senator, or governor, or maybe one of you will be President of the United States. Certainly there are future doctors, lawyers, and business leaders among you that will add to the glory of this university. But there's something else that's also true. Few of you will be doing in 4 years what you think you'll be doing. In fact, not many of you will be finished in 4 years. And some of you won't graduate at all. Now, what I want to say is, that doesn't mean you won't be a success. In fact, graduation is not the only path to success at the University of Washington or any university. College isn't a job training program. It's a life-changing, mind-expanding, expectation-altering experience that will take you places you have never dreamed of. For almost all of you, it will lead to success, but likely in unexpected ways. I know this, and the members of my family know this, because all of us sat where you are today. So I want to just tell you 4 quick, very different UW success stories that I know well, because they're the stories of my daughter, my son, my wife, and me. Now I'll start with my daughter's story because it's the one that's most likely to make your parents feel okay and reassured about what their kid's getting into. My daughter Darielle is with me this morning. She's sitting right over there. She was a very good student at Roosevelt High School. Come on, Roosevelt. Cheer. After being accepted at several excellent colleges on the West Coast, she decided she wanted to come here. She lived in a dorm her first year, then she shared apartments near campus for the rest of her years at the university. She majored in French. Was always on the dean's list. Spent a year studying in France and another quarter on a program in India. She added a second major in urban planning and graduated with honors in 2006. She was disciplined enough to study hard, and that gave her plenty of time to have fun and make lots of fantastic friends. Coming into the university, the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences told Dariel that this university is like a banquet. There is much more here than what is going on in class. So Dariel took that to heart and grabbed every experience she could from the banquet table of college life. And she now works in the Office of International Programs and Exchanges. You might meet her if you decide to study abroad. She's an advisor there. And she's well on her way to a successful career in international education. So that's one story. Pretty good one. The second story is about my son, Daniel. Now, this story will make some of you parents a little more uneasy, but I guarantee you this is also a success story. Daniel went to Roosevelt and entered the university in 2002, the University of Washington. He joined a fraternity and proceeded to party for a year. Some of you may be on that track as well. In the process, he forgot to actually study. That was what you'd call an inadequate academic strategy. So he left the UW and started over at Seattle University. He began to get his life in better focus there, but he still hadn't found a clear path. Then one day, he came to me and his mom and said, "You know what? I love cars, and I want to learn everything about them." Well, Daniel just completed a 2-year program in auto mechanics at Renton Technical College, and this week, like you, he is starting classes here at the University of Washington in math and physics that will prepare him for the top-notch automobile engineering program at Western Washington University. Now, Dan's route to success has been a little more circuitous than Dariel's, and I think that's because when he started, he was probably like a lot of you. He really wasn't quite mature enough to figure out what he had here, and he hadn't figured out what his true passion was. But that's entirely okay. We learn from false starts, and sometimes it takes a lot of searching to find what the future has in store. That's not bad. That's just a different way to success, and it may be the way some of you go. Now, my wife, Nolan, was, like many of you, a transfer student. She came in as a junior from a college in Indiana. She studied very hard. She earned a degree in occupational therapy. And guess what? She never worked a day as an occupational therapist. Life intruded in various ways. She married me. That was a big intrusion. She had Dariel and Daniel. But now she's working for the University of Washington in the School of Nursing. It's another success story, but not the one she had planned when she was a student. And I would predict that most of you will find yourselves doing something very different with your lives than what you imagine you'll be doing as you sit there right now. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. The university is a place to discover what you don't expect. Well, then there's my story. I arrived here from Ingram High School. Well, good, all right. I had a 3.94 grade average and a vague idea about being a commercial artist. My first quarter here, I got straight A's. By the end of my freshman year, the head of the art school was suggesting that I change my major because I had gotten an F in one of my classes. Now, it doesn't mean I got stupid. I just got caught up in what was going on at the university. And I often, when I tell a story about my career here, I usually do it sort of for laughs. Talk about how I spent hours at the hub with my friends, watching the clock and realizing classes were starting, and then they were ending, and I was still in the hub. There was some of that, I admit. But I was thinking this morning that that doesn't tell the whole story, and it doesn't quite describe the university experience. When I was here, the university was engaged in a historic moment. I was in the midst of a revolution in my freshman year. In the spring of my freshman year, there were students gunned down at Kent State University in Ohio, and that sparked protests all over the country. And at the University of Washington, we had students taking over buildings and invading faculty meetings and marching on the freeway. And all of this was amazingly fascinating to me. So it did distract me from going to some of my art classes, which resulted in my F grade, the first one in my life. But I wanted to witness it all. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that was sort of the budding journalist in me. I wasn't really a radical or a protester. I was just a voyeur. And I wanted to see it. I wanted to report on it. I wanted to do cartoons about it. And the University of Washington, through the Daily, provided me with a place to do that. It also provided me with history classes that put all this craziness in context. I actually speak much better than this. Sometimes the words trip out of my mouth. So that's kind of how I got engaged my freshman year with this excitement around me. My sophomore year, working on the Daily, I came to a point where I and several other students, including the new dean of the graduate school, who was a student with me then, we quit the Daily in protest because it had become what one of my friends called a quarterback for the revolution. I started caring about journalistic ethics, that, you told the story straight, not poisoned by politics. And so that became a big theme of my time here, because the university is not just a place to go to class, although that is vitally important. It's also a place that is seething with ideas. It's a place where ideas are tested and debated. Ideas are treated seriously, and even if they're ridiculous ideas, they get examined and thrown out. So my education took place in class and out of class. And by my 5th year here, I was editor of the Daily. Now that was a pivotal experience. It also meant I got a total of 5 credits my 5th year in college. I don't suggest that as a tactic either, but that brought me to my 6th year at the University of Washington. I changed my major that year, by the way, to journalism, but having been here quite a while, it brought me to a moment I remember very vividly. I was living with some friends of mine at a house near campus, and one night in the middle of fall quarter of my 6th year, my friend Peter Reiners and I were sitting in my room realizing we were facing academic disaster. We kind of were out of energy, we just weren't inspired anymore as students, and we're trying to figure out how are we ever going to graduate. But Peter remembered that the School of Communications had a 12-credit independent study program. And so by dawn, we came up with a project for that independent study program. And within a week, we were off on the road interviewing editors all over the country about a hot topic at the time in the journalism world, public access to the media. We came back and we worked like crazy, harder than we'd ever worked at anything, and produced a 200-page study about public access to the media. That project got me 12 credits of A. The next quarter, I did a reporting internship in Olympia, again, thanks to the University of Washington. That spring, I walked down the aisle in this very building and received my diploma. So you can get there, even if it takes some time. Now, I should tell you, this friend of mine, Peter Reinerson, I should tell you what happened to him. He got 12 credits, too, from this independent program, but it took him another 25 years to graduate from the University of Washington. 25 years. Now, that doesn't mean he was an success. In between that time, he began working at the Seattle Times and won a Pulitzer Prize. He wrote a best-selling computer book. He was ghostwriter for Bill Gates' book, The Road Ahead. He started several successful software companies and was a vice president at Microsoft. And then finally, he got his diploma from the University of Washington. So it can take time, but I know with Peter, all of his success had to do with his experiences here. So my message to you today is that there is no single path to that success. But the University of Washington can offer you everything you need for success. A couple of years ago, I starred in a television advertisement for the university in which I came up with what I thought was a pretty clever tagline, and that was, "The University of Washington, it opened up the world for me." Well, that is the journey that all of you begin today. Your path may be straight, or it may be winding. You may move fast, or you might have to restart a few times. But if you take advantage of all the university has to offer, success is virtually a certain thing. Despite the way I did it, going to class is important, but it's not enough though. You need to get to know your professors, to engage in activities like the daily or intramural sports or campus politics or social groups. Go to the Burke Museum, go to Henry Art Gallery, study abroad, and you can talk to my daughter about that. Do internships, volunteer for research. Do everything you can to drink deeply of the knowledge and the experiences and the opportunities that are available to you right here, right now. Do all of that and do more, and years from now, I know you'll be able to say just what I say today. The University of Washington, it opened up the world for me. Thank you.
We have a new school song, Rise Up with Pride for Washington, that made its debut earlier this year. Leading us in song this morning is the University of Washington Glee Club under the direction of Dr. Stephen Demarest. The lyrics to the song were written by class of 2008 graduate Catherine Henderson and are printed on the last page of your program.
Please rise. Singing Rise Up with Pride for Washington.
Huskies proud and bold.
What a wonderful way to begin the academic year. On behalf of the university, I'd like to thank our honored guests and all of you who have made this day so special. The 2009 Freshman Convocation of the University of Washington is now closed.